that leads me to my next question, which is so she's asked you what do you say, and I'm saying, are there like five top professions that you focus on, or who are the most likely people that you're gonna pounce on to get money?
Salespeople would probably be number one because they've made a lot, and now they're like, hey, do you want to keep it? And they're like, oh yeah, I don't want to pay taxes. Doctors is like very niche. It's like a very tough circle to crack because it's just like some people get it, some people don't. But I always lead with education. Like I would lead with value and just want to make sure I can help them and understand them on investment. Because if someone clearly does not understand it, I'm not taking their money. Because in my eyes, I don't deem them sophisticated. So they kind of have to know what's going on. And I also, like, for my investments, I was like, you call me anytime. I'm happy to walk through it. I even record my property manager calls, and I send it to them. And so if they ever have questions, they can see it. And it's, like, a very transparent process. But salespeople, doctors sometimes. I'm trying to think what else. Generally entrepreneurs, because a lot of it is, like...
Engineers.
They ask a lot of questions.
Engineers are too analytical, right?
Coming from a CPA, yes. Engineers ask the most questions. You didn't deny it. Salespeople are generally the most like gung-ho about it. This is all generalizations. But most of the time I'm trying to help entrepreneurs. You're like, hey, you make a lot and you work a lot. Let me help you work less by investing in this, and we'll keep going.
What's your funnel look like to bring in new investors?
I started a YouTube 90 days ago, and that's the only funnel I have. I just come to stuff like this and just meet people, and I don't know, I'm personable, ask questions, just lead with transparency, and just try to help people. Because that's at the end of the day is like our job is to help you. Like, you're investing to make money, but it's like, what are you running from? Is it, do you want to retire? Do you want to spend time with your friends or family, kids, travel, whatever that goal is? There's generally an investment bucket that I can help you get there. And if it's not with me, like I talked to one investor and he's like, I don't want to invest in a syndication where you put debt on the property. I go, okay, well, if I ever find anyone that has that, I will send you that. I mean, people do that.
Like, if I find that unicorn somewhere.
Yeah, but I'll lead up with that person. I'm like, hey, you should meet this person that's doing that. So, and that's, if you lead with value and give referrals, like I don't try to hoard my investor list. Like if there's a good deal, I'm like, if you want mobile home parks, you should invest with my buddy Dylan, or, it's a very abundance mindset.
Yeah. Well, and then I think an important thing that you do is what you just said, as far as you give somebody worst case scenario, right?
Yeah, everyone can sell the high side.
Because it's not all, it's not all.
We can't assume 20% rent growth for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you have to let them know what it's, what it is all about. Here's what the plan is, what we're going to be doing, but here's worst case scenarios too, right? So,
yeah.
Because like I said, you've heard both of them talk about, there are no guarantees, right? So,
I tell them why a deal fails.
Yeah.
This deal will fail if this happens, and here's how we're mitigating that.
Yeah. So, Tommy, would you have another question?
I was just going to say, I think Travis was alluding to, like, what kind of exposure have you had with other investors? And I think you ran a podcast for Jake and Gino. You were a coach for their program. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I miss there?
I think that's it. I don't know. We're all here, right?
Yeah. yeah. Go ahead.
So it's a really common misconception to think that if you're on the LP side, that's completely and totally passive. If you're a good LP, what are the questions, or what kind of asset management do you do as the LP for your own investment, and what kind of reporting is typical for, you said that they're your boss and they're giving you the money, so walk us through what would be a reasonable expectation if you're the LP. How much work would that really truly be throughout the life of the property, and also what are some of the reasonable questions to ask during that lifetime?
Yeah, I think the number one question I get from LPs is, where's my K1? I just got one literally 3 hours ago. He's like, my CPA had a question and taxes are due Monday. I'm like, perfect. But we always do quarterly webinars for ours. This is not for everyone's, but try to do a quarterly webinar. Here's the numbers, but we also tell like the storyline of like, hey, this happened. Here's how this problem, we solved this problem, and here's what we thought. Because I want my LPs to become better active investors. And there's a lot of times where, hey, they'll call me like, I have a 12 unit, this isn't going well. Or like during the pandemic, I called all of our investors and was like, hey, we're delaying distributions, which we ended up just delaying them like a month. But if you have questions, we've been studying a lot of what's going on. So if you need help and it's like, hey, I have this job, it's just always lead with value. And then I try to give monthly statements to our investors and just highlight, here's the variances of what happened last month versus this month. But we know who's, like, a lot of the times we see, like on my YouTube series that I give to my passive, there's one person who always comments in like, hey, thanks for the update. And even on the webinars, we see who's always showing up. It's always a lot less than you think. Less than 3 people, and our syndications had 60 plus people. So people will watch the recording, but you'll average 3 viewers a quarter, maybe. So, but I would just lead with transparency, right? If you give it to them, they can watch. But also, right, as an LP, they don't want another job. That's why they pay. So we'll give them as much information, and I mean, I'm always open for feedback too. So it's like if people are like, hey, I hate this report, can you tweak it? I'll do it.
Did I see
What software are
something?
you using besides, to run your business besides Accel?
Asana. That's my favorite tool,
Don't get me
Asana.
started on Asana.
Yeah, I thought this was a planning question.
She puts a quarter in.
Asana is just like a project management tool. So I use it. I have all my deals in there, all my underwriting, every OM that I've ever looked at. I'm very big on traction, like the EOS system. So I have all my level 10 meetings. Slack to communicate with my virtual assistant in the Philippines. Canva for marketing stuff. And then good old Microsoft Excel. You can do anything.
So in your syndication, you know, that you've done, and I was meant to ask Drew this question too, but have you, when you bring people into it, and especially if it's, you know, kind of your core team, right? Do you assign somebody that is, okay, here, you're going to be acquisition manager, or you're going to be capital raiser, or is everybody capital raiser, and then this, you know, we're going to have you do asset management because that's where your experience is. How do you kind of structure
Yeah.
the
So
folks on your team?
Yeah, we have a very candid conversation at the beginning of like, okay, who's going to do what? So like acquisitions, we assign a percentage to like acquisition and how much was the acquisition, like that percentage to getting the deal. So if it's like an off-market deal, that's going to get a higher percentage than a non-market deal because we all could have saw it. So there's acquisitions, there's asset management, which is a component of boots on the ground, but also like running the numbers. There's key principal, so it's someone who has the net worth and the liquidity, the post-close liquidity. So you can't just like, I have $100 million and I put it all into this deal and I have no money because the bank's going to be like, hey, you don't have it. Oh, and one thing, if you get a bank quote without a personal financial statement, it's not a real quote because they need to know if your team qualifies, and lending brokers will tell you what you want until you have to pay for it. So just a heads up on that. And then it comes to like investor relations, we call it, and not capital raising, and we just kind of say who's going to be doing the webinars, who's going to be raising a lot of the money. And then, KP, and we also KP signing on the loan. So like to Brian's point, even though I own less than 1% on 2 deals, I got agency experience for signing because I talked to our lender about it. So that would command more, because there's more risk associated with putting my name on the loan. I should get more of a percentage of that general partnership. And then from there we assign roles of who's in what bucket. And it's a tough conversation, but we do it very early on to really set expectations. And there's a spreadsheet for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine, and I think what you said is early on in these syndications and early on in those deals to really set the expectations and assign who's going to be doing what is so important.
Like LOI gets accepted
Yeah.
within 48 hours. We're having that conversation.
Yeah. Because I've seen deals fall out where it's because at the end or right before close, the partnership all goes to.
Well, I had a conversation with a newer investor, and they're like, "We don't want to give away 50% of the deal, and we need to raise $2 million in 30 days." I go, "Give it away. Just close. The momentum of closing is worth like I said, 0.52% of 143 units." And then I went to 0.96, then I went to 8, and then it's like consistently around that point. So, like to your point, it took me 3 years to be financially free, but it takes time. But I wouldn't trade my experience because I just know more than a lot of other people in the industry.
So talk about qualifying for the Fannie and Freddie and the GP versus the LP and that journey, because I think that's an important thing. And maybe talk about, Brian talked about how difficult it is to get Freddie and Fannie, but we haven't really talked about the benefits of why we would want to do that. So maybe.
Yeah, so the LPs don't have to do anything for the loans. So they just heavily scrutinize the GP team and the funding. So, like, to give you an idea of how picky it is, have you ever counted how many parking spaces are at your apartment complex? Because they're going to ask you how many you have. And they, like, nitpick, like, they've been getting, our agency lender was in town and was like, yeah, we have to do more unit audits because people are staging units as if people live there. So, but they scrutinize, like, every month I'm sending financials because it's like, can we qualify for a refi? But it's just, they're qualifying to see how much income you're making now. They don't care how much your rent's going to be. So that Columbia deal, we didn't go to agency because literally rents were $775 and it just wouldn't qualify at a $4.4 million purchase price. Versus your community bank is going to be more flexible with that because they know your team and can trust you. But with community bank, you're getting a 25-year amortization, 20 to 25, versus agency, you're getting 30. With community, you're getting 1, maybe 2 years of interest only. With agency, we're getting 3 to 10, depending on your leverage. And you're generally getting a lower interest rate. Communities are based off usually the Wall Street Journal Prime. Agencies are off the 10-year treasury, like 200 basis points higher than the 10-year treasury, which I think hit 4 today, so 6. So,
But what
But
about?
yeah, they they scrutinize. You have to do an org chart, right, to show
Oh, yeah.
who's on the GP side and who's on the LP side, and they're, the GP and the sponsors is who they're really gonna, scrutinize. But
have you ever
they-
committed fraud? Have you ever
Yeah.
went bankrupt? Is there a lien?
Yeah.
They pulled up a news article with my name but a different middle initial. It was like, did I back into someone at a Jimmy John's parking lot in Idaho? And I was like, different initial, but close.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it is just like the background checks are insane when it comes to the.
Well, and the thing, but the reason why one of the reasons why you want those kind of loans too is because they do interest only. So, they'll give you interest only depending on, the property and who's involved in and all that. You can get 2 years, 3 years. I've seen
got 10.
I've seen up to 7 to 10 too on interest only, right? So
That's
which
super
is-
low leverage.
Yeah.
That's like 50
Right.
to 60% loan to value.
but it's very heavy, and then you have the
no personal guarantee.
no personal guarantee on it, right, from there. But to Mike's point is, so I've done enough deals that have been agency that, to Mike's point, when I go look at a property, I have my own notebook that I'm writing down because I know exactly what agency is going to make you do on that property.
Is there a crack in the sidewalk?
Yeah.
Is the railings 48 inches?
Yeah, I mean, so the great thing is after you've done a few, you really know all of that. So I can walk on a property with somebody and say, okay, here's what agency's going to ask for, and what they're going to make you do in 6 months, and this is what they're going to make you do in a year. And this is what they're going to make you do in a year and a half, all right? And to hit to his point, I mean it's crazy what they scrutinize, but it's because they don't want to take properties back, right? So they're very, very picky, but they have a lot of benefits.
They averaged
to
a one.
those, so
They averaged a
So-
1.6% default rate in 0809.
yeah.
So what
That's
are the-
why they're picky.
So what
Yeah,
are the
yeah, so-
experience hacks? I mean, experience point hacks. How do we get those experience points the quickest?
Give equity to people who have the experience and be like, hey, I mean, I did that with my 36 unit. I go to my buddy here and I'm like, hey, your boots on the ground. We've talked over 2 years. We've looked at a lot of deals together. Will you be on this deal with me? He said, yeah. I mean, so you kind of have to give away to get that experience, but it's worth it. I mean, I have 2 agency experience deals and I own less than 1%, and I just went to the lender because we have a good rapport, and I was like, what do I need to do to prove to agency what I have the experience in? Because you know how much I do. He's like, oh, we'll give you a guarantor. I'm like, all right, cool. They're not going after me. They're going after the 4 or 5 wealthier people in front of me. If they're going to me, something terrible will happen. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Other questions? So, no.
Great answers.
There you go, Mikey T. So, but I think we're running on our time here.
okay.
So we
Lights and cookies.
appreciate you, and we're giving give
Thank
Mike
you.
T cookies as well. So yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. So, yeah. Again, we appreciate everybody coming out. I know it seems very warm in this, or it's just me. I don't know, but we appreciate everybody, and I think we had everybody that was new first time here, kind of tell who they were and introduce themselves, and we have 2 right here that you guys got to miss out. So we're gonna have you tell us about each one of you before we
And a fun
close. Yeah. No fun.
Exciting.
No fun facts, but you just So
Yeah, so my name's Masha. I just moved to Tennessee in April, and I came here because this here. I met I don't remember her name, but she works at SVN.
Oh, okay.
And she invited us at a BNI group meeting.
Sorry, talking about Blake.
Blake or
Yeah.
Yes, Blake.
Okay.
She invited us.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, I just started my life coaching company,
Uh-huh.
so that's what I do.
Yeah. Well, glad to have you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was very
Appreciate it.
interesting.
Yeah.
No fun fact.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm
wanna start
Amanda
about you?
Baker. I'm with Brandon Hanna Properties. I'm an affiliate broker
Okay.
and with the brokerage that Timothy here
Okay.
started working with, and
Yeah.
he has hit the ground running. He's a real go-getter, and so
Yeah.
he's been attending a lot of groups and just really interested in multifamily and learning a lot of things. And
Yeah.
so he said, come and hear about this with me tonight.
Alright.
So we're
Alright.
excited to. It's the first time. I mean, we have some friends that are involved in it that have talked, but this was very informative, super interesting. Thank you both so much.
Yeah, so we appreciate you coming out. Tonight we had, a couple of, people that are very experienced. Typically we have, the first speaker is usually kind of the proof of concept person, the person who might have started out in that first rental house or 2, but then have started buying, multifamily, and then over years been able to buy enough that they can, have enough passive income, they can do whatever they want. And then, we'll have a real estate attorney and different others.
Vendor types that you can
Vendors,
learn
yeah.
from,
But
best
tonight
practices.
we wanted to have a couple of
We had the heavy
people,
hitters.
So, yeah. So, and we'll have people that
I came here for the cookies.
yeah, we'll have people that when you talked about cost segregation, that's a whole 2-hour topic itself, right? On that, so some is same with agency debt and that. I mean, we have a couple of guys that can speak. They do agency. I mean, they work for agency debt companies. And I think one of them, when he comes and speaks, I think he might take 2 breaths in the whole hour. I mean, he is just Trey. Yeah, he is wound up. But I think he just turned 30. But he's probably
one of the smartest people
probably
we
one of the
know.
smartest guys I've ever known. But when it really comes to fine, so that's kind of what we do. We offer this. We do this every second Thursday of every month, and again, like Jenna had said earlier, this is we offer this for free education. We have a lot of people that that say, wow, normally
The generosity of their spirit, of
Yeah.
their willingness to share with
Yeah.
you with that other people are charging $10,000 to say. So if you appreciate that, please go to our Accelerate to Generational Wealth Facebook page or follow us on Instagram. Our the actual information that you have heard tonight, you will be able to rewatch it or share it with others. It will be available on our website, which is accelcre.com. And if you go to we have a page called Accelerate Series, and it's also available on YouTube. And share it with your friends. Please, we'd like to widen our audience. And because this is live on a webinar, your friends who are outside of the general vicinity can also participate. So send it to them. As you can see, in our studio audience, the space is severely limited. And we do encourage people to attend online, and they do have the ability to ask questions. But please, for sure, share this with your friends. Remember, we are brokers. We do not endorse per se any of our speakers, and the whole purpose of this is to educate you so that you can know how to do this better for your clients and for yourselves. So hopefully
And we
you'll
want to
take that.
thank Genovations Media for doing the filming. We have, how long have we been doing this now?
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, so all of our learning series are actually on YouTube. They're on our website. And in fact, Sierra Bailey, that's speaking her head out back there, she's an agent with us, but before she became an agent, she did an internship with us, and she took our first probably year and a half of these events and went through and basically
Put them all online for
edited
us.
them and put them online, as well. So, like Jana said, there's like a year and a half of these. You can go back and watch all kinds of experts talking about on different of topics. So,
What's the name
Go
of the
ahead.
YouTube channel?
Well, it's easier to just go to our website.
Check.
Because it's the same content. It's just excelcre.com, and then just go to the learning series page.
go learning series.
If you click on any of those,
Yeah.
it will take you to the YouTube channel, and then you can go through the YouTube channel. But they're also all on our website, exactly like you would find them on the YouTube.
And I forgot, Mikey T. Do you want to say your YouTube?
Yeah.
Because
Value add mic on everything.
Yeah.
There's too many mics in the world.
yeah. So he does a great little podcast and other learning stuff on there. So both of these guys, I'd recommend you following them. They have
But you
great
can follow
content,
Brian
so.
and I both on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So just
Yeah,
give
except
us.
I don't think I'm on Twitter.
You're not on Twitter,
Not
but our
yet.
company is,
Yeah.
and so am I. So.
What do you got on Twitter, Brian?
I know. I gotta. Up
So
my
can we
game
get
here,
one
so-
big final round of applause for our speakers tonight? And thank you to all of our agents for being here, and thank you to Carson for our market update.
Yeah. And you want to tell the last thing again? We always say at the beginning.
Yes, well, and remember that as you take this knowledge and you grow and you invest and you increase your standard of living, we highly recommend, for your own happiness and for the sake of the world, to increase your standard of giving.
There you go. So,
And thank you so much
thank
for being
you
here tonight.
for coming.